Welcome to my show. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to touch base a little bit here on where we are with Ascension, with Mother Earth, and lifting up the Divine Feminine. Um, what has taken place over these years since 2012 is picking up the pieces of the puzzle of rebuilding Mother Earth, rebuilding what was lost, rebuilding the Merkaba light body ship, the temple, the house, the path back into heaven on earth, the path back to Great Spirit, rebuilding the rainbow, the realchemizing the hermetic rainbow, uh, the rainbow prophecy, because it's happening, it's taking place. It has been over these years, but there's things we had to travel a lost road. We had to travel through realms, past timelines to purge the situations that took place on Mother Earth ever since the fall. And in true reality, nobody has the time, and it doesn't really matter of what years you want to put it in, as in, like, people can say biblical times 2,000 years ago, or they can give you whatever amount of years to, Egypt or Samaria or whatever other timelines. You can look into the Mayan times. But that's the reflection of here and now, where everything is here and now. And Mother Earth has transitioned out of the lower realms, the frequencies, the situation that has happened to the feminine in the collective over millennia, uh, since the fall out of the tree, when it comes to the sacred mother, the sacred daughter, and the situation with the Pleiadians being the alignment to the tree of life with the Mayan calendar, the world tree, the Ouroboros rainbow prophecy. But what the problem is within people's consciousness is when being reborn from one realm to another, being reborn out of the fall, one must understand in their consciousness where they are within time and space of coming back into the temple. That is a within journey, because what you're seeing on the outside is a manipulation, is a spiritual manipulation through these ones who wish to be God's children but are not. You can put that in a biblical sense, because they are not God's children. They want to be. So it doesn't, you can put it in a faith sense, you can put it in a religious sense, but nobody knows bloodlines, no one knows DNA, no one knows the sacred water, no one knows what has happened over all these generations. You can talk about the past 500 years, but people haven't even touched into the frequencies of their ancestors and truly what has happened over millennia, because people still reside in the sacrificed blood of their ancestors. This is why they're not able to see the truth spiritually, because it's painful. It's spiritually painful of what people are seeing out there today within the situation as a whole of what is happening to humanity in all countries, in all walks of life, and it's been going on for hundreds of years. You can say thousands, but just in the collective of the past 500 years, you can say past 1,000. There's the medieval times, but there was also the peaceful walk of life and the tribes. That there's always been war, but there's always been tribes that have lived in peace too. So, getting into the consciousness and 0 point energy that people are speaking on, within ascension, within people attempting to go galactic, because that's what a lot of people are attempting to do. And when it comes to people saying that they channel certain gods, certain angels, certain beings, as in the Pleiadians, as in Syrian people, or Lyrian, or whatever people want to say. It's a regurgitation of the same thing ever since 2012. There are your waysayers, your ones who were here who really channeled the Pleiadians and really channeled true beings to spread the light, who came out of the 80s. Like, there's certain people who came out of 50s, 60s, and 70s, but we know that the hippie movement was hijacked and the Rainbow Prophecy was hijacked. So there are some people who were really channeling higher divine beings, but we have stepped into a place, a consciousness of truth and unity, and coming up and coming through the door into this higher consciousness of gaining everything that was lost in past timelines, to return to the unity and the oneness of Turtle Island, Mother Earth, the Rainbow Prophecy, and the unity of all tribes. And that's where we are today. But there's so many people who say that they have the answer, so many people that keep on talking about spiritual stuff, but it's so much more spiritually deep than what people can actually perceive. And because there's the initiation into the rainbow, and the everything is invisible. Your chakras, your DNA, your water, your fire, everything, sacred symbols, alchemy, everything is invisible. So how is one able to perceive the mind, and understand alchemy, the Hermetic codes, the Ouroboros, the dragon, the lion, all the symbolism of ancient history, which is within spirit, to manifest a proper balance into today's Mother Earth cycles and the sacred water? Because there's a lot of information, a lot of sacred information, sacred scrolls, ancient texts, ancient indigenous wisdom that was lost due to the burning and the destruction of the tribes. But in today's timeline, a lot of people getting inner sight of a threshold, inner sight of higher wisdom, and inner sight of higher knowing, of a veil that has fallen for souls who are experienced, to be able to come into a different frequency, a different realm of understanding the truth of the dragons, the truth of the unicorns, the fairies. But there's a guardian on the threshold, because this is the lost realm. This is the realm that was taken away from the people. The truth of the North, the truth of Mother Earth, the truth of returning back to what it was before the invasion. And that's, the Akashic records. That's the understanding of your DNA. And they have manipulated the DNA of the tribes. They have manipulated the DNA of the people going back hundreds of years. So no one knows the truth of anything before you were born. So that's the part, a lot of skin tone, a lot of manipulation, a lot of people don't understand who they are and where they come from, and corruption of history. And that's the sending the people out. You know, they call them the, gosh, what are they? The ones that are born in the lab. But it's removing DNA is removing the darker skin and creating the white devil. And before that, they called them the white doe, and they were the ones that came out into America and slaughtered the Naga people. So you're talking about Naga, you're talking about darker tribes, and now you have all these white people who are on the light worker journey. Star seeds, light workers. A lot of people piggyback on stuff, piggyback and say that they're spiritual, but how spiritual are you when you don't really understand anything? Because spirit has always been here, and your hippie movement has only been here for 3 generations, when the occult and everything else has been here before. So you're talking about mystical stuff, you're talking about black magic, you're talking about druidic stuff and Celtic stuff and ancient stuff. Ones who hold the wisdom, ones who were gifted, because what was lost in the scrolls, what was lost to the indigenous people and the ancient ancestors has returned. It comes through the DNA. It comes through the water, but can one comprehend it in the mind? Because at the beginning of time, the first book was written from the mind. So your mind holds the fairy tale. What direction are we going within our consciousness through ascension? Because there's rays, there's the rainbow fire, there's the alchemy that happens within our belly of transformation within the kundalinis of the forgotten realms. And so people want to talk about the rainbow prophecy, they want to talk about the dragon, they want to talk about sacred animals, they want to talk about certain things, and really people don't understand because they're looking into a war that they can't comprehend, and they don't know what's on the other side of this. You got the 3 legs of religion who have hijacked the spirituality of Mother Earth and transformed it into religion. The universal spiritual teachings have been corrupted through the manipulation of all this stuff over eons. So people can't say that they actually have spiritual teachings when they don't even know alchemy. They don't even know how a rainbow was created. How is a rainbow created? What happens when you mix your fire and your water, your mercury, salt, and sulfur? There's spiritual alchemy and there's material alchemy. And that's the part where people attempting to find the gold, as you can see within this map and all of these ley lines, and where they came, where the fallen ones came into America, into the east coast of America, into the Gulf of America, Gulf of Mexico, into the South America, North America, traveling west, where they first found gold, up to Alaska. You can see the dragon lines, you can see the Blue Kachina, Acadian line, Bermuda Triangle, the line that goes down into Mexico. Like, people don't have a clue because they don't know what timeline they're on. They're not within the elements of creation. So if you're born into this reality and you have no consciousness of being born, no consciousness of coming through your mother's womb as a baby, you've been manipulated. So people can't say, it goes like this. It's like, how can you, where are you moving in your consciousness forward of getting back into heaven on earth if you don't know where you fell from? So you're trying to move forward into something more spiritual, but you don't understand where you came from through the porthole. So you're attempting to go through a porthole back into heaven on earth, but you can't because you don't know where you came from. So if you don't know how you were born, how are you supposed to understand? How are you supposed to know that, the reborn process? What is the reborn process? Being reborn into the Christ of light, into Christ consciousness. What is the process? See, that's the point of initiation into the heart center. That's the point of initiation where you fall and you understand the truth of the pain and suffering of this outer realm and what's taking place out there. Because a lot of people within their consciousness, within their mind, they ignore this realm, and you see what is building in this realm, what is happening in this realm, and then transitioning into the unconditional love of your heart center, grounding yourself, looking through the shit show to comprehend it, because it's the only way to love yourself again, is to love humanity and love everybody that is lost spiritually, because that's what it is. Everyone's lost in the mix of the demonic presence and the AI presence and everything of what the fallen ones have done to take humanity down. It's a consciousness thing, and part of it is people know the stuff. They know of all the evil stuff, but they don't look into it. It's not about, like the island and this stuff like this. It goes much deeper, but it's about speaking the truth of what you know, and speaking the truth of standing for Mother Earth, standing for the children, standing for the animals, and there's nothing organic, and that's why we're coming to this point of Mother Earth has been picked up, the sacred water, the Pleiadians, the rebuild of Maya's temple, rebuild of Maya's calendar, the rebuild of the Pleiadians, and fixing everything in a universal scale is what needs to take place prior to ascension. And that's why you're seeing the AI, that's why you're seeing these ones go into the AI, because they need to house all the information, because God's here, Spirit's here. They have lost, but there's two realities being played out between realms, and and humanity is the sacrifice. They've always been the sacrifice. So that's because that's the part, and you get into the religion and the Christed blood and so forth. They don't have anything organic. They, in frequency of stuff, you talk about stolen fire, the stolen frequency. You can the theft of elements, and that's the building blocks of creation. Circles, squares, triangles, numbers, letters, frequencies, colors, everything that comes through to create a rainbow. But it's alchemy. It's within the Hermetic lab. And so when people think of stuff, they're not in it. Because when they think of stuff, everything is in the past. Jesus, Hermes, Osiris, Mary, biblical times, whatever people think of. It's a manipulation in the as above, so below, within and without, of looking outside of yourself into the past. Biblical stuff, all this stuff that they fed you. But there's, so in the consciousness, where's one going into the future if they can't understand the past? They're trying to move back into Buddhaville, be a starseed light worker, hold the light for humanity. But if you can't look at the darkness, how can you ascend? How can you be reborn? Because you're actually coming through the abortion cycle. You've been in the abortion realms, right? Isn't this a sacrifice? Isn't this Babylon? Isn't this the realm that children die in, that animals die in, that people die in, that you suffer in? Isn't that what this realm is? Because this isn't heaven on earth. This isn't where the people stand for stuff. This is where the people get manipulated and go out and do a protest that means nothing. They don't even know what they're standing for because everyone's manipulated. So you can get into America, you can get on into the prophecies, you can get into all this stuff, but no one can read the land. No one can read Mother Earth. No one knows where she's at today in her consciousness. It may seem like she's below, but spiritually she is above. What does it mean walking over that rainbow bridge, walking the yellow brick road, walking from Egypt, coming out of Babylon? What does it all mean when nobody knows the numerical codes that are within the frequencies, within the words, within the Bible, within the chapters, within stuff? 40 days, 40 nights, 44, 144. Do people even understand what the 144 is? Or do they just play in the game, saying that I'm part of the 144? That people don't even know because it's a numerical code that goes back into time way before you were born. So no one can sit here and say that they know what the 144,000 is, because you don't know the breakdown when you split it in half. People don't understand the Mala, the 108. Let alone the 1111, and then everyone's seeing the 222 and 333, and because you got to put it into a numerical code of 3 times 3 times 3, or 3 plus 3 plus 3. Because what are you really looking at? Because you're not looking at your clock on your wall in elementary school anymore with the 3 hands. You're looking at digital time. Manipulated time. Because true time comes with hands, comes with 3 hands. Hour, minutes, and seconds. And when those 3 hands creates the Trinity within the circle, creates the pyramid. But you can't see the 4th, the 13, and how the 13 turns into 4. How the circle, the square, and the triangle come together, because it's the building block of Maya's calendar. And where did they get all their information from? That's the thing. You're talking about fallen ones. You're talking about demons. You're talking about these ones that invaded heaven, or fell out of heaven, or stole the creation, stole stuff from creation. That's how I like to put it. Stole the Hermetic codes. Lost my train of thought. And, you steal stuff and you try and build stuff, because that's what this is, in this outer perspective of those in the desert, those in the Middle East, of saying they are the chosen ones. They are not the chosen ones, and they are not that little country with that name. They are not that, because that is a people. That is a tribe. The lost tribes, right? But the lost tribes are a number. They're not a people. The lost tribes are a DNA strand. The lost tribes are a DNA. Lost tribes are 12 in number. 13 is 1. Or how does it go? 12 tribes are 1. 12 tribes are as 1, which makes it 13, which makes it 4. So 12 into 13 was 4. Friday the 13th. Mary Magdalena, the Pink Flame, Rosicrucians, Druidic Order. That's been here since the beginning of time. Don't need a book to understand what's going on out there when everything was written on your DNA. That's pretty much it. When you travel realms and understand. So what we're doing is we're going through this fallen timeline. And there's nothing that can be done for humanity as a whole. It needs to happen. Unfortunately, the main reason, because Americans, humanity, have ignored the situation as a whole. They've forgotten what has happened to their ancestors. And they have ignored what has happened to their ancestors. And remember, because, a lot of people have been reincarnated. A lot of people experience souls, have come back in to lift up Mother Earth, save Mother Earth. And there's a lot of new souls too who don't know. So trying to find that middle road of spiritual truth is difficult when you're looking outside of yourself into this realm. A lot of people talk about stuff, and it may seem enlightening, but the truth is, have you really actually gained any wisdom? Because a lot of people regurgitate the same thing. Spiritual channels, spiritual messages. Doesn't mean anything. Because we've been talking about WW3 forever. We've been talking about Babylon burning, talking about Jesus returning. Where is the here and now? Everyone's trying to get to Buddhaville, Shambhala. But where's the initiation point in the collective? Because it's been completed in the spirit. It's been completed in the spirit. The initiation point is here. But who has it? Where is it at? It's a within journey. But can it be expressed outwardly? Because it can only be expressed outwardly if your DNA is attuned to the situation. If it's not attuned to the situation, to Mother Earth, then you're still on the outside of the threshold. Because you can't come in. Because your mind can't comprehend. And what is dark on your heart, what is dark within, is not allowed over the threshold. It's a transmutation from the lower realms into the higher realms. through your lower chakras to your higher chakras. But there's an ultraviolet door from your outer 7 rays into the other 7 rays. The trifold, the flip mirror within the Hermetic lab, mirror on the wall. 72, 7 times 2, 7 plus 2. 7 times 2 is the 14th gate. One plus 4 is 5. Where do you reside in the initiation? Because these Masons have nothing today. What you're seeing out there is a new order. The old guard of the old walk. These old gatekeepers, these old Luciferian gatekeepers have all fallen within the Mormon sense, and this, there's a new order, but they are within the AI frequencies, and they are doing it differently than they did back in the day. But we're going a different road, back to Mother Earth and back into the frequencies of New Earth. And it doesn't matter you got to free yourself from the mind control. There's everything that people have heard about, all the conspiracies, but it's all come to light. But if one doesn't go into researching it and understanding it and coming into this rainbow journey back home to Mother Earth, then they're going to be stuck out there within the AI, thinking that they're okay spiritually, but in true reality they're not, because they've ignored the situation as a whole. All you got to do is look around, and you can see the situation that you're in. This is the collective. These are the end of days. This is Babylon. It ends here. This is the time for everybody to see the truth. It has to happen to save creation. Because it's not just about humanity. Especially when you look out there today and you look at what people have become through the manipulation. So to save creation, things must take place. Come over this hurdle, come over this frequency and this situation, because the first frequency out of the tree of life, the first frequency out of heaven was an abortion, was the fall. It's in your scriptures. It's in the ancient writings. But are you in the frequency of understanding that? Because there's no frequency. There's no higher frequency in a realm where this takes place. Things need to come to a stop. Things must be shown. Have a good day.